recorded. And calling the meeting to order. I'm going to share the screen with the agenda.
And I will start taking notes.
And the first question is, wait a minute, I want to do something here because it's driving me crazy. Minimize email and turn off this other email. I'm seeing 5 screens at once. Okay, I need a approval of the agenda. A motion to approve the agenda is what I'm looking for.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as posted, other than changing the time for calling the order to 7:15.
Oh, look how clever I was. I already did it on the share screen. See? Look at me. I did do. Okay. So.
I second.
Motion, motion.
Who seconded, please?
Yo.
That would be Asai.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. And Greg, who's taking? Wait.
Hey, I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes.
Okay. So moved by Greg, seconded by Asai for approval of the agenda. I'm just going to roll call. Greg.
Here.
Asai.
C.
And Hugo.
Yes.
And I can no longer see anything, so I don't know if Gabby has arrived.
Not looking at the
She is
Zoom
not.
screen.
Okay. So,
I'm not looking at the Zoom screen.
and my vote is yes. I'm stopping the share. And we are now in public comment.
I thought we said we was going to do that just by voice vote.
Pardon?
I thought we said we was going to do things like that by voice vote to make it go faster.
Yeah, on committees, that's what you do.
I did do a voice vote, didn't I? Oh, yes, but I couldn't see anybody because I was sharing the screen.
Okay.
So Jeff could have done that. Sorry, the only reason I was calling names was because I couldn't see what was going on.
I'm going to say approve by voice vote.
Okay, so so sorry about that. And yes, in committees we can just do what we do. Okay, is there any public comment or announcements on anything that's not on this agenda?
Just want to remind people to vote. Vote, vote, vote. Check your registration. Remind people to check their registration.
Right. So the email that you sent out, was it today or yesterday? Was that?
I sent out 2. I sent out 2.
Yes, I know. Sent one today and one yesterday. One of them, did it link to that organization where you can check to see if you are registered?
Did for me, did for other people.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to figure out, I need to send an e-blast to people. You know, it's that time I do pull together another news and updates e-blast. We have a candidates forum Saturday. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. Do the census, register to vote, other things that are more UNC things. So somebody sent me an email. That's what I'm saying. It's like that to a website where you, whoever you are, can check and see if you are registered. Was that your email, Greg?
I did send one. Yes, that was this weekend.
Perfect, because I'm just trying to create a news blast.
But you said the link didn't work?
Pardon?
You said the link did not work?
No, I just said I'm creating a UNNC news and updates email blast.
Right.
You know, like
Sorry to interrupt.
Like I was doing before. I'm gonna do one now, only it's not really about COVID particularly this time.
Oh yeah, I'm violating public comments. I'm sorry.
No, we're just nattering. Okay, is there any other public comment or announcement? Moving on to executive committee business. Item 3A, a funding request to facilitate record keeping and sharing of UNNC Zoom meeting recordings. the request is to purchase, I use the phrase, a set of USB flash drives, each at least 32 gigabytes. And one example would be a Lexar Twist Turn 2 jump drive with a product number, a request to spend up to $100. Discussion and action. I'm hearing voices in the background. I'm also.
That was me, sorry.
Okay. And we have a person who's joined the meeting. So the point of this is that the Zoom recordings, even the plain audio recordings, so not the video recording, which is really massive, but the audio recordings exceed several gigabytes in size. So they're too big to upload to anywhere that I have any technology to do. And there's two categories of need. One is the simple need to be able to give to our secretary the audio recordings because she wants to check her minutes against them. The other potential need that Dunn has not actually responded to me about is if a person who's a board member wants, for whatever reason, a copy of one of our Zoom recordings, how do we transfer it to that person? If a member of the public is asking for the same thing, they have to make that request through Dunn, and I think they would be charged for it. So these flash drives that I'm suggesting we purchase would not have anything to do with that. And I have not been given the answer yet, based on a board member request a couple weeks ago. I haven't been given the answer yet from Dunn if board members are to be treated differently. So Asai has his hand raised, and then Greg.
So I just really wanted to talk really quickly about the USB flash drives, and even in regards to those videos, if someone requests videos like that, the best possible option would probably be looking at spending like close to $100 for an external hard drive that literally gives you about 4 terabytes. Way
Yeah,
over
why would I be giving somebody an external hard drive?
So the external hard drive would be, so I'm reading here, to facilitate record keeping and sharing of UNNC Zoom meetings recordings, purchase a set of USB flash drives.
Correct.
32 gigabytes each.
Yes.
So,
The reason, I'm sorry, maybe I'm not explaining that good enough. So aside, when you start hosting some of these meetings, you're going to record them onto your personal computer. But Gabby or someone else who's doing minutes wants them to verify the minutes. So how do you get the recording, which might be 3 or 4 gigabytes? They're huge.
perfect. That's huge, yes. But that's
Huge.
where I'm talking about an external hard drive.
Yeah,
And I'm
but-
not talking about something massive. It's the size of your phone. And all you do is you connect it to your computer just like that of a hard drive. And so now, just let me finish, Laura, please. And so what you would do is, because Zoom actually gives you the ability when you record it, when you go to the Zoom website, they actually have the video there and you're actually able to download it. Is it a big file? Yes, but you could also redirect it to go straight to that external hard drive and you keep it there. And at the same time, you could also keep paper documents like that of the minutes.
Okay, we're not recording to the cloud aside, we're recording to the computers. We can't record to the, I mean, not that we're unable, we can't. It would violate city protocols. Greg.
I want to try to bridge the conversation. So are you talking about buying a hard drive for each of the members of the board, for each member of the board to have a hard drive? Is that what you're is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, that's essentially it. I'm not saying necessarily to spend $100 each, but we can spend like $40 for a hard drive that I'm pretty sure could be more than useful for each and every one of those committees.
Okay, I'm raising my own hand. Can you see, this is a flash drive. It's real teeny. It's 32 gigabytes. It's the stick is protected inside. So they're easy to put in an envelope, put a piece of cardboard around it and mail. Like I can literally drop off or mail it to Gabby, right? Little. What I thought I was gonna grab it out of the drawer. I don't know where ours is. We have an external hard drive. They're like this big, size, size of a cell phone. Not a big deal, but I'm not understanding why we'd want to do 1 or 2 external hard drives versus the 3 packs of flash drives are, depending on if you can get them on sale or not, anywhere from 20 to 30 bucks. So we could get anywhere from 6 to 9 of them. And then if we lose one, life goes on because we haven't really squandered any money. And it's also not, Jeff could correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's not a supply that has to end up on an inventory list, whereas I think
consumable.
External hard drives end up on our city clerk inventory list as well. But I just don't know what the purpose of an external hard drive is. I am just trying to be efficient here. And again, what I don't even know, aside from transferring this to the secretary or secretaries, if we end up needing to start posting the minutes for our committee meetings, it's possible. Because I did, Dunn is managing to give me phone calls about stuff they want, but they're not managing to respond to my questions. So they may want us to start doing minutes for all of the committee meetings to be posted. Yay. That's a different issue, but it involves this proposal. We don't have to do this. I'm just saying, if it's just for me and Gabby, I have one that can go back and forth. I did have a request from a board member for a Zoom recording of a committee meeting, and I posed the question to Dunn as to are we allowed to treat board members differently than a member of the public on a request like that, or do they also have to do a public records request? And then B, it still could be casual. We don't have to charge a board member. The board member can show up at my door with a flash drive of his or her own, if we're allowed to just do it that simply and go their merry way after I copy it onto their flash drive. If I'm allowed to do that, which I don't know. Greg.
So my understanding is that we would give each member a flash drive.
No, we can't do that. We would have our own flash drives that can move around. We can't give a gift to our members.
It would basically be for executive committee use and committee use. So for example, if Dorit needed to get the minutes and or video to Gabrielle, she'd pop it on the flash drive, boom, and get the flash drive back, and then it would just be constantly revolving.
Right.
I think Laura may be correct that if it's an external hard drive, it would have to be in permanent inventory and reported every year and barcoded and all that fun crap. Okay. Whereas a flash drive, 1 or 2 of them would make it flexible enough to accommodate the committees to continue their work and still provide minutes if necessary.
Right.
Okay. So I see the usefulness of that, of having something. It's big enough to contain the files, and then we would give it to someone upon request. So yeah, I see the usefulness of that.
Right, and I feel the other usefulness is if we get these little 3 packs or 4 packs, and they're 20 or 30 bucks, and someone loses one, nobody's going to cry too much.
Right.
Well, and the other issue too is if it comes from the public or a stakeholder, the neighborhood council does have the right to tell them they must provide their own media, right, whether it's a flash drive or external hard drive, or we can do it for them and charge it, but they don't get it until they've paid it.
Right.
Jeff, I'm not sure we have the right to say anything until Dunn responds to my damn question, because I already
Correct.
asked this question, and let them tell us how they want to handle it. You know, I mean, that would be the most efficient. It would be silliness for us to copy whatever the request is onto a flash drive, somehow mail it into Dunn, hoping the post office works, but they're not going to work, meaning their offices are closed. So in other words, the inefficient way would be us getting it to Dunn and then Dunn getting it to the requester. But that may be the legal way that Dunn and the city attorney would want to handle it. That's why I'm waiting for an answer to the question on that. But I don't think that's pertinent to internally if we need to get them to someone who's going to listen and write up minutes, you know, or verify minutes.
So this motion would be 2 jump drives or flash drives or backup drives, whatever you want to call them. 2, and we're requesting $100 max.
Right. It's just I use the phrase a set merely because when I was looking online on the Office Depot website,
Right.
there's deals available. So it's possible you could get a set of 6 for $40 on a given day. So I mean, the main thing is it should be something that is, again, something like this where I'm sorry, you can see it, where it twists and turns in because it protects the tip that goes into the computers.
Right.
And it also should be a name brand, so it's not arriving from China with a virus, basically. And we would have to be careful with that.
Ouch. Ouch.
So if this is something moving forward, I think obviously then I'd have to have a.
I'm ready to make a motion
Okay.
like this.
Hang on.
Can you guys see this?
Like that, yes, exactly. Just something where the tip is protected.
And I also have what the.
Yeah, and not be stupid. Like I have one of those, and that's what I'm saying. That I think is going to move to the level of we have to keep it in inventory. And I have something like this, and it sucks. I mean, in other words, it's just fine until I smash the tip into something. So I'm trying to avoid something like this because it swivels, but not good enough.
Yeah, I bought this years ago, and I'm not sure how much it costs, but it works.
Yeah. Right. I'm saying every once in a while they simply die. I see Asai and Hugo both have their hands up. They've simply died. So these are not for storage forever. The storage is on the computers. But this is for, these are like transfer disks.
Shared video files and audio files.
Right.
Okay.
Oops, the hands went down now. Hugo, did you have something to say?
Yeah. I was gonna say, is there a big need for all of the members to get flash drives? Like, do they not already have it? I'm not sure who presents it.
Yes, they should, I think, already have it, and no, I don't think there's a big need for everybody to get their own flash drive, and I don't think we're allowed to do that.
Okay.
So we're just getting a few to use when needed.
Okay,
For
because
use on a revolving basis.
Right.
Okay, and so how many would we be buying in total? I just see requests up to $100, but I don't see how many would be bought.
Because I'm looking for I just used the phrase a set because the deals change from day to day at Staples or Office Depot. So,
right.
You know, I mean, I don't even necessarily think we have to buy all of them at once. So I think, Greg, you can tell me this, but if we have funded up to $100,
we can
buy
use
one set of 3, and then when we lose them, buy another set, right?
Yeah, we can spend a nickel today and then spend 10 cents tomorrow and then spend $95 the next day.
Correct, but not have to have this conversation again.
Right.
which is my point. So I wasn't really thinking spending $100 now. I was thinking buying one set of 3 or one set of 4.
Yes.
Or whatever deal. But first we need an approval. So that I just put up to $100 in case come March we need to buy them again.
I want to call the question.
Well, no one's made the
I had a-
motion.
I had
You
a,
wanna make
I
the
had a
motion?
comment.
Okay, go ahead.
So there's, I'm not sure if you guys are already familiar with, but there's different types of flash drives. There's USB 2.0 and 3.0, and 3.0 is much faster than 2.0. And I think if we're going to be transferring files that are more than 1 gigabyte, it makes sense to buy them the 3.0 versions. And I've bought like maybe 10 different flash drives throughout my life, and I've done a lot of research on them, so I'm kind of familiar with them and the costs. And I don't think it would cost that much more to get one in 3.0. I'm kind of looking around and I see others. I see another Lexar jump drive, but I guess my whole point with this is this motion specifically about this flash drive, or can it be a different model or a different type?
I'm raising my own hand. 2.0 is usable in computers that go back as far as Windows 7. 3.0 is not. So in other words, the 2.0 can go to Windows 10, but also Windows 8, Windows 7. And Windows 7, a lot of people are still using, even though it's not supported, because it emulates XP. The 3.0 cannot do that. And on Macs, I'm not sure. So yes, I did do the research. So the reason for 2.0 is it can go up or down in terms of people.
Okay. And so does it, so apart from it being 2.0 or 3.0, does it still have to be this exact drive, or can it be a different one?
No.
Okay.
No,
This
that
example.
was just an example, and the motion need not repeat the example.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I want to make a motion.
Okay, I'm typing in chat.
I make a motion that we approve for up to $100 for purchasing of flash drives.
Okay. And just leave it as simple as that, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll second. That's it. Just that simple.
Yeah.
See, everybody can look at chat.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
If we don't vote for it now, can we still have more time in the future? And another one, I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm kind of torn about this vote.
Well, this vote essentially is a vote, even though it says what it says, this is a vote to recommend that to the neighborhood council as a whole. However, I will say this was meant to be a really minor thing.
Yes.
And we have now, sadly, now taken 25 minutes on it.
We're just moving it to the governing board.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
moving it to the, but
Okay.
I'm saying I don't want to have a 25. In answer to your question, Hugo, express all your concerns now, because I really don't want to have a 25-minute or 30-minute conversation at governing board over flash drives. So what else is your concern?
I just feel like this way of getting videos may not be the most efficient, just because I feel like there might be people hesitant to go into other people's homes or even to receive things from other people. And I don't know, I just think it would be nice to have some kind of like cloud option, or to have a better idea on what our options are with posting it online. But at the moment, it seems like you're waiting from done for more clear answers, right?
No,
Or do you already have the?
No, you're confusing two different things. One thing is the ability to post online after the fact, 3 or 4 gigabyte anything is well beyond my technology and probably most of ours. We're not supposed to be creating technological solutions that are not accessible for all board members to accomplish, because that means we're going to have the haves and haves not. Not everybody's going to have, and I certainly don't have, that kind of high speed internet that would allow the posting of such large, the transfer online of such large items. We're not going to be recording to the cloud because that violates city protocols. We can't record to the cloud. So the question becomes, can we upload to our website? And the answer would be yes, we'll be able to if it's on a flash drive, because somebody's going to be, our webmaster probably could do that if we needed to do that. But I don't believe we're going to be posting, sharing anything on the video Zoom recordings. I don't think that's part of the city protocol. I think when someone's going to make a request, it will end up being that they get audio. Not that our recordings are secret, but I don't know. It's going to have to be public records requests. They're not going to be automatic. And Hugo, I'm going to add, because I know one of your things was, well, who's participating in these meetings and how are they voting? But the Zoom recordings do not record the names of the participants nor how they vote. So that's a whole other thing. At the moment, the simple reason we're doing this is just for minutes. City attorney and Dunn will need to come up with their own protocols, policies, etc. as we go on, as this Zoom state's going to continue through the end of 2021, it seems, at least, for how the rest of it is shared with the public. That's not what this motion's about. This is merely how can we more easily transfer data for our minutes, is essentially what this is about. It's very narrow. Aside.
Only minutes as in text?
The minutes, the recording, the record of our meeting.
Yeah, the written minutes that people like. In the past, when we had our board meetings, someone was just recording them on a phone so that the secretary could, if he or she wanted to, check the recording to verify the minutes. So.
Okay, thank you.
Asai?
I honestly, just really quick comment, I just don't see how this is really efficient. Yeah, the flash drives, I understand the cost effectiveness of having a flash drive, but I just don't see how that's an actual useful thing coming out of taxpayer money to really pay for flash drives when it comes to minutes. I honestly feel that's something that'll last you longer and you could keep it in case of a records request. I don't see why an external hard drive might not be a better option in that regard.
The reason the external hard drive isn't a better option for this, as Jeff has pointed out and I have pointed out, is it becomes a part of our inventory, which we're having trouble keeping track of. And I might add, real trouble, since we at the moment have zero access to it. So, I don't know any other way to say it. I don't care. I don't care that much. I mean, Gabby and I, if it's just the two of us, can probably share one stupid flash drive. If this, what I am beginning to care about is it's now 35 minutes of discussion. So.
Okay, I'm ready to vote.
All right, and you can vote no if you don't like it. That's fine. So I know we're going to need to do this one roll call. I'm sorry. So.
Yes, it's money.
Yeah, well, it's money and it's controversial. So Greg.
Yes.
Asai.
No.
Hugo.
No.
And Laura's a yes, but motion fails. Okay, moving on. Okay, the next item is a funding request. So it's 3B, funding request for up to $500 for the year for Facebook advertising for UNNC outreach efforts. That's a sort of general, if the communications committee and outreach committees, plural, have something they want to push out on Facebook where they don't have to keep asking us one time after another. So that's the request. And this came from Raheem to Greg and I. So is there any discussion, or should we just go straight, Greg?
This outreach money will be, any committee can use the money to advertise an event or do a Facebook post, or does it have to be run through the communication committee?
Well, it's going to have to be run through communications because they're the ones with the admin credentials. Not anybody can just, I mean, in other words, pushing Facebook requires the person who has the administrative credentials, meaning it's called an admin for Facebook, because remember, they're making a decision to use the credit card in effect.
Okay, let me rephrase the question then. So since this is a form of outreach, it seems to me that any committee can say to the communication committee, could you put this on, and then this is the funds that will be used for that.
Right, and you know, each push is about $10. Like, I mean, it's not really.
It's not costly.
So yeah, it would be, and I'm gonna say not the word event, but if Dorit says, you know, I've got a really interesting agenda item on Recreation and Parks Committee, and it's about blah blah blah, you know, the new park, the new version of the park at Washington and 12th. She does have that on her agenda next.
Okay.
You know, can you push this out to the folks in Arlington Heights and Harvard Heights and Angeles Vista? I mean, you know, and then Rahim spends $10 and he does it.
Right, got it.
Okay, Asai?
Is there any way we could cap it where we could cap a certain amount per each committee? I just don't want any one particular committee to be using the majority of the funds. And I understand it's $10, but I don't feel that it should be really up to the discretion to the communications committee here. Oh, can you post this? Oh, can you post this? And then it's just gonna keep going.
Yeah, it's not a posting. The postings are free.
It's a boost.
It's a boost. And
tomato. At the end of the day, it's gonna cost money. And at the end of the day, it's always going to require the committee to reach out to the communications committee. And what's to stop any committee, whether it be planning, whether it be any others, to really say, look, can you make a boost about this post in regards to our committee here with UNNC?
Okay.
Laura,
you see the issue with that, right?
my hand is raised, and,
Okay,
and
Jeff.
let me present the opposite side, Asai, is that you're dealing with really ramping up committees, which has been a really hard thing for UNNC to do. I would be more than happy to see to it that active functioning committees that are working and doing their job, making executive committee and the board less hardworking, and reward them for the fact that because they are actually producing, that they're utilizing the boost first.
Well, I have my hand. I'm calling on myself. Well, the other thing is, I don't know, for those of you who are not trained in the damn funding, oh, excuse me, I'm being recorded. Those of us who are responsible for dealing with the funding team at the city clerk, it's not easy. It's really not easy. And if we had to vote at this committee and then governing board every single time anyone thinks up a reason why we need to have some Facebook boosting or advertising, it's just onerous for us to have to do that. If we have one BAC at the board that has this up to $500, and then whatever, I mean, a receipt for $11.52 comes in, because my credit card is embedded in my UNNC credit card is embedded in Facebook. I just can upload that one BAC each time with the receipt, and we don't have to keep voting and voting and voting and voting and creating BACs. And either Hugo and I, or Greg and Hugo, or I and Greg, we have to sign the BAC. I mean, it's really an awful lot of work for the volunteers. So I was happy to see Rahim ask for this because it changes that equation. And Greg has indicated it'd be for committees, but it's not just for committees, it's boosting us. You know, we have an election coming up, and we need to be more visible about us and what we do before we start boosting, hey, do you want to be a candidate for election? So, you know, the election budget would be different, but this is about making us and the things that we do more visible. Greg, I think I saw your hand.
I just want to say that our pace of spending so far is very slow. So we are not in any shape, way, or form in any budget crunch. So it's like,
right,
we're feeling pretty rich. Not that we
well,
are, but
yeah, until all those people start asking us for 4,000 here,
well,
4,000 there, but right, but today we're still rich. Hugo.
Yes.
Hugo.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I feel when it comes to a pool of money that's for the use of multiple committees, I feel it just makes sense for everyone to know what are the caps for everyone. And I get that it might seem better for committees that are more active to be able to access the money first for others. But at the same time, I feel right now, it's better if we make sure that everyone can agree on how it's going to be split, even if it's not used right now. But what if maybe right now one committee doesn't necessarily want to use it, but then a month or two from now there's an event that they're planning, and then that's when they're going to want to boost the posts. And I'm not saying all the money is going to be used in a month or two from now, but I'm saying I feel it's good if we have just everything be clear up front. I just prefer having more rules like that when it comes to pools of money that are going to be used, because then like that we can hold each other accountable a little better.
Greg.
So Laura, how many committees are there?
Well, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Greg
my hand
has
was
his
up.
hand, you mean today active? I know Greg has his
protocol,
hand up, and then
protocol,
Jeff
protocol.
just jumped in. So let me call
Protocol.
Greg, then I'm calling Jeff, and then I'll answer Jeff and have my own thing. Greg.
The data of our spending does not have any evidence that the problem of a committee overspending is a concern. So it's like we're trying to solve a problem that we don't have. We don't have any committees that have been overspending or requesting a lot of money. That has not been an issue. So we can do that. We can put a cap, but it's a problem that does not exist for us. Nor do I anticipate that it will exist, because if anyone goes close to spending the money, we can increase the money that we have, because we want them to be successful. We don't want to limit them. We want them to be free and to be out there, and we want them to do the work. We don't want to restrict them from doing the work. Are my thoughts.
Jeff, you asked a question about how many committees we have.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to say something like 15, but they're not yet all active. And I don't see, I know Greg said it, I don't see that the primary outreach boosting on Facebook would be for most committees. I think most of it will be about us as a whole and what we're doing. But I am perfectly comfortable doing this motion, but with the caveat that the communications committee present an actual plan, what they're thinking about how they would do this spending. Because their idea may not be Greg's idea, frankly, or we're talking about tonight. They may have a different idea. And they certainly had a lively meeting last month, and they're having a meeting on Thursday. So, you know, I'm trying to give the committees wings to fly and not trying to clip those wings in advance of there even being a problem. But again, you know, from my perspective, it's just so much more efficient and easy if we, through Facebook, I mean, we just don't have it in our annual budget, and it should have been there, then we wouldn't be having this discussion, frankly. But Dunn is telling us that we need to do more outreach. Adriana, our new Dunn NEA, whatever NEA stands for, her total expertise is outreach. They're basically saying, I think they're saying to us, we don't do any, and they're right. And I think this will help make, you know, accomplish moving forward. Hugo.
I feel that although we don't anticipate this being an issue, I think that that it's not always good to wait until it becomes an issue. I feel before that, if we have everything be clear, then it changes everyone's expectations about what they can or can't do.
That's
And
fine, but what I'm not hearing from you, I'm sorry, now I'm getting bitchy. Not hearing from you or Asai is an alternative proposal. I mean, this was a simple, this is a very simple.
I do want the money to be available. I actually do want this, but I do feel that there's no harm in there being upfront rules about how it's going to be spent, because if we set a limit for each committee, we're not exactly clipping their wings.
Yeah, but you're making an assumption.
Wait.
Assumption.
Let me explain where I'm going with it. If we set a limit, and then they don't reach it, so they aren't limited by that cap, then we're not really limiting them in any way. But if they end up exceeding the cap, then that will mean that that we had good reason to put that cap in the first place.
But if we don't, I'm sorry, I am interrupting. It's 8 o'clock. This meeting is over in 30 minutes. There's nothing in this motion or funding request that even anticipated that our committees would have this money. This motion was for outreach and in effect, the combination of communications committee and the outreach committee to be able to boost Facebook. If what you're asking for, and this is why I'm saying you need a proposal, I already made one, but I'm not sure you heard it. If what you're asking for is an actual plan from the committee, communications committee, which they could probably accomplish on Thursday, for how they're going to do whatever they're doing with the $500, that's a fine amendment to the original request. But what you're seemingly saying is come up with a plan for how the committees would spend the money. I'm not sure there's any anticipation that the committees would spend any of this money. That's just Greg's thought. Hi, Greg.
Yes, okay. I need to apologize for my question. Well, no, I don't really mean to apologize, but
no, you don't. You had a good question.
It took us in an area that. Okay, so my understanding of the request is coming from the communication committee. It is their request. I made the assumption that since it said outreach, I just wanted to clarify if outreach, if it was going to be accessible from all the committees.
Yep.
That led to a discussion about limiting the committees. But so let me just go back to the original request as I see it. This request is coming from the communication committee, where they want to have $500 to use for Facebook boosting or Facebook posting or whatever the thing is. So, but it's a request from the communication committee. My question about the other committees is for clarification and part clarification and part assumption. But again, my understanding is that this is from the communication committee that wants money to do the boosting, is the term, and not have to come back to us to request more money. Also, historically, there was money earmarked for the communication committee from last year to do things that, like I think it's for outreach for door knockers or door
Right.
hangers, but we never spent any of that money. So I kind of, I don't know if I can retract my question because it's already in our head, but this request is for not the outreach, but for the communication committee to have money to support boosting or advertising UNNC in whatever form it comes to them.
Right, I think it's a budget adjustment because I think it's not in the budget, more or less. It's not for a specific project at this moment.
As
Right.
presenting on the agenda right now, it's reading as a funding request, so we have to treat it as such.
Yes, no, I understand that, but there's different kinds of funding requests, right? So this is for general UNNC outreach efforts. So this is in concert with Lizzie and the outreach committee that doesn't really exist yet, but the outreach chair and the communications committee. This is something they had discussed at their last meeting, and I can make them discuss it again. And again, I see nothing wrong with our recommendation being contingent upon a written plan, you know, so that they're not just the day after the board meeting spending $500, which would be really hard to do. Asai has his hand up, and then Greg.
I'd be more than happy to see a plan from the communications committee with with another condition of the fact that they consider a cap on the money that's going to be spread out through the committees.
Okay, but it might be zero to the committees. Yeah, again,
Then
you guys
that doesn't really. You just literally argued at the beginning that the $500 is going to be accessible to the committees. If it's $0, that's not making it accessible to the committees, and we kind of lose the purpose of this $500.
Okay, Greg, go ahead. You can say it again, and then Hugo's got his hand up, and it's 8:02. Greg.
Okay, so I'm gonna come back to that point in a second, and I'm gonna just talk money in our budget. Under the line item 200 outreach, we have already earmarked $1,000 for advertising. In a sense, this falls under that area because it's advertising our organization. The way I see this is, and this again, this statement is debatable. This is just saying within our house, we're just deciding how to use money that we've already set aside in that area. So that's one budget. That's one way to look at it. Fiscally look at it, the money that's being requested. So back to the point, I am the one that brought up the question about the committees, the committees having access to these funds. I don't know that the communication committee is thinking along that lines. I know that they think about the way that they need to get word out, and they just need money to do that.
Right.
But even if this motion wasn't there, we still have money already set aside for advertising. So I will go back to my first point. We have money set aside. But as far as setting a cap, I'm willing to make a motion that we request a plan. I'm willing to make a motion that we set a cap, but I don't know that that's what they're asking. They're asking just for money to do Facebook stuff as a function of their committee. I'm sorry for taking so
long. Hugo has his hand up. I think this is the simple motion. That's not the one we were just talking about. And I know, Hugo, you still have your hand up. Here's the thing. We have budgeted, as Greg just said, budgeted $1,000 for good or bad for advertising. I can't use the budget if we do a Facebook boost a month and a half from now and we're billed, again, $12. For me to upload the receipt to the city clerk's funding site, I also have to have a BAC. So we need to do a BAC, whether that's a BAC for the full $1,000 for all kinds of advertisings, including Facebook booths, or we do this, which is a lesser request. But if we want to do any Facebook booths at any time for any reason, that is not this Saturday's candidates forum, which we did already vote on separately. So we don't really still have $1,000 left. We have, at the moment, $975 left, because that's how much we maybe spent on Facebook booths for the candidates forum. So the point is, to have to vote every single time is also nonsensical if we are now trying to build a more bigger image. Okay, Hugo.
I just feel that having a cap won't make much of a difference with, I guess, like the BAC. I think that's what we were concerned about. But anyways, what I wanted to say was, I think it's good that we have a motion that requests a plan from them, where we also ask for a cap. And I think that would be applicable if we assume that they're going to have more than $0 to use. Because if they have $0 to use, then there's no point in us even voting on this. But if we know that they're going to have more money, or if we're assuming they have more money than that, then I think that's where a cap is important. And so that's a simple vote.
Okay. Hang on. Do you see what I just add? I said add, that it be contingent, spelled wrong, sorry, on receiving a plan from the communications committee for how this will be utilized, and also that some of the boosting should be applied to UNNC's committees, but each committee should have a cap for such spending, which would be part of the plan. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, it works for me.
Okay. Who made the motion?
I think I made the motion.
Well, I mean, are you making this motion? That's one.
Yeah.
Greg.
I'm good with that.
Okay, does somebody second who's not me?
I second it.
Okay. All right. Okay. And this one, I think we've reached consensus. Is that correct? But, well, let's just vote. Yes? Great. Yeah, I'm
Yes.
voting yes. Greg's yes.
Yes.
Yes for Hugo.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, 4 yeses. Motion passes. All right. I'm sorry. I thought this.
Can I, Madam President?
Yes, you can do whatever you want.
No, I can't do it. This is like, let me look so I can see everybody. I'm getting and Jeff, please tell me if I'm out of order here, but Amanda, like, I feel like something's wrong, or something's like, are we okay? Everybody okay? I just feel like something's wrong. Like, yeah, we okay? Is everybody okay? Come on, everybody, give me a big old hug. I want to hug everybody. What's wrong?
Oh, we love you.
We
Love you guys.
All right. Okay. I'm just like, all right. Okay. I'm done. I'm back. I won't put that in the notes. I know it's recorded. Everybody.
Let me just give you a personal observation, having done this for a very long time. And remember,
Yeah.
Laura's been on this much longer than I have, not as
Yeah.
president, but certainly she was
No,
one of
but
the
not on
co-founders.
certainly not on executive committee. I've only been on
Yeah.
executive committee a year and 3 months.
Yeah, but also now president. But you have been a co-founder of UNNC.
Right,
You have
yeah,
been
that-
doing this far longer than any one of us. So sometimes that can be something that's getting missed. you, Hugo, and Asai are fairly new to this process, and it's all a learning curve and a learning process. Plus, I think, yes, some of us who have to do these things all day long and sometimes into the evening, we can get a little tired of them. So I think we're all good, and conversation is always a healthy thing, whether or not it was allotted in what may have originally been the planned time limit.
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just, it's like, we've got a solution now on this, but I just want to make sure we know that we should
Yeah.
always try to achieve a solution.
Yeah.
And ideally, you know, I hope always that we can reach consensus. And we have a very diverse, this small group's diverse, and our board is even more diverse. And the idea of consensus is that in the end, 23 people all think they got what they wanted. It's really hard to get to there. Compromise is okay, but it usually means that everybody thinks they didn't quite get what they wanted because they have to compromise. So that's usually my goal, is to try and reach a consensus that works for everybody, if at all feasible. And again, I can tell you it's very hard. I worked for years, volunteered for years on a community redevelopment agency advisory group for a project area. And that group was even more diverse than we are, because it included developers, it included USC officials. I mean, it just was very, very diverse. And what we usually tried to do is go around the room and say, what do you want? What do you want? And try and create a motion that included what everybody wanted. It wasn't always possible, needless to say. But that way we walked out of the room happy. So, you know, that's what I try to do, but it's just not always possible. So,
Okay.
okay. So, Hugo, your hand is still up. Is that on purpose, or is it just still up?
Oh no, that's by accident, but I'll use the time to say I love you guys once more.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Brother. Love you too.
Thank you.
I love you too.
Okay, so the next
Wow.
item does not require a whole lot, because I don't think anyone here is going to be on it. We really do need an elections committee. At our last board meeting, no one raised their hand to be on the elections committee. Well, no, that's not true. One or two people said they'd be on the elections committee. I hope we have that recorded forever. But nobody raised their hand to be the chair, which sadly means at the moment I'm the chair, don't really want to be. So we just, I think all of us before should be thinking about other people in the community who perhaps would be really good at being on an elections committee for UNNC and who do not wish to run for office. So, because even though you could be on the committee if you were running for office, I feel it's always a little, it feels a little more objective if the elections committee is primarily people not running for our offices. And especially in this year where it's all going to be virtual, and getting the word out is going to be virtual, and the voting is going to be weird. And I'm going to guess there's going to be a very low turnout. We're going to have a hard time finding candidates, and how are they supposed to promote themselves anyway? So best if we can find some committee members who are not running for election this year. So unless there's no motion needed for this, unless anybody has
on this issue, I'm just concerned about the amount of energy that's coming from the city to do this, and we struggle to have people to run for different positions.
Well, the energy from the city is that they're busily telling us what to do, and not listening. I mean, did you go? I don't think you did. I went to the.
No, I didn't go to the voting.
Well, there was a session last week with Dunn and the city clerk, and for South LA, a lot of the presidents and chairs went, and I didn't see a lot of other people in that session. But I will say they were just busy talking and not listening.
Okay.
For lack of a better description.
Okay.
And you saw we all got an email today from our assigned elections administrator.
Right.
And it's interesting because he and I used the chat function at that meeting. he said, oh, I'm going to email you right away, but he never did.
Good.
So,
Okay.
all right. Anything else though? Because
Nope.
we can move on, because really there's no action on this. At the moment, budget adjustments. Greg, you wanted, here we go. Here we go. You wanted to talk
Okay.
about possible funding for UNNC committees.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about it. Okay,
Yeah,
so
but I was going to say, noting that I had hoped for the October board meeting, but I'm guessing it's more likely November, that we have a session at the board where every committee presents their missions and goals. So that it would seem that at the same time they could present their proposed budgets if they had any. But now go.
okay, okay, so since we are working where the committees are standing up and doing different things, an incentive to them is, I think we should say to them that we want to allocate funds to them. I'm not saying that we should say what that should be, but that in our general meeting, a governing board, that we should say, committees, as you are making your goals and the objectives for the year, please also develop a proposed budget to let us know what you, how much money you want, major events that you want to work on, so that we can have that in mind. So it's not, again, not a motion, but just a discussion item when we start talking to the committees in the general governing board.
Well, Greg, do you want to actually just send a, well, actually that
Email
won't
to
work.
them?
No, it won't work. I mean, in other words, because some of our committee chairs are, you can't just send an email to UNNC at Empower LA, because some of our committee chairs are not board members.
Well, if I have the list of the committee chairs, I could send them.
Right. Yeah, I can, yes, because I don't know that, we don't need to vote on that. I mean, in other words, it's a.
No, there's no vote. It's just
Yeah,
like,
it's just a reminder as you develop your mission and goals, if
Right.
any of it requires budget, make sure you add that and come, so you can come and
Right.
get some money.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking to say we're earmarking, I'm just using a number, $500 for all of you. But again, they all won't use it, so.
Yeah, most committees don't spend money.
Right.
Right.
I just want them to use, I want them to know they have money that they can use.
Correct.
So yes, if you send me the list of all the committees, I will
Right.
send them a reminder and then also remind them to talk about their goals and meeting
Right.
dates to be prepared to brief that.
Right.
Okay, that's it. That's it on that.
Okay. I can't tell, Hugo, your hand is still raised. So should we lower your hand so we know that the next time we see it up, you want to talk?
Sorry about that. I thought I did lower.
Yeah, no, I know it's hard. I love this Zoom and then I don't. Okay. Upcoming UNNC Governing Board meeting agenda items, discussion and action. And I'll be honest, I haven't really thought that 2 weeks ahead. I obviously the one funding request that got approved tonight moves forward and not the other. And item C and D are not items for the, well, item C, Elections Committee, will be an item on the board agenda. We will have potentially at least one land use item. As you know, we just figured that out sometimes at the last minute. And what else do we want to have on that agenda? That we'll have CISs, perhaps. So anybody else have something specific? So again, we'll have a longer discussion about elections, the Elections Committee, but also this whole vote by mail. I mean, we'll have a further discussion. Maybe we'll even get our elections administrator to show up. We will have an update on committees in general on the calendar, because we are adding to it, yay. But I think we're not ready to have those committee mission statements, although some might be. So that might be on the agenda for the ones that are ready, because otherwise we, going to have a midnight meeting of 17 committees have to all discuss the same night. is that okay with you guys if these mission statements start coming in over a couple of months? What do you think?
I think they should be in by November.
I'm sorry, what?
They should be in by November, because that's
They
like,
should be in by November, but if some of them are ready for
July.
October, is that okay?
yeah, July, August, September, October. Yeah, they had a whole, well, not that the committees have been in place, but
Right,
that's a whole quarter of the year, July.
right, but they just started meeting in September.
Yeah, I know. I'm not bragging on them. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's an issue of time that the year's gone. So
It is time, it's definitely time,
it's
and,
like,
yeah,
so let's say, let's do it. If we schedule it in October and give them an outline of what they need to present, then that might help them along. Like, these are mission, these are goals, these are budget, these are major events, this is our calendar.
okay, so for the October board meeting, have a template
Yeah, I'll do a
available to
template.
discuss?
I'll do a template.
Okay,
I'll
so
do
we'll
that.
put that, noting that they, not everybody's gonna be the round pegs and square holes or whatever it is.
Yeah. It's a guideline. It's not like,
Not really a template, a guideline. Okay,
yeah, I'm gonna call it template, but
right. Because one of the guidelines has to be that we're gonna cancel any committee that doesn't figure out a way to have a standing meeting, even if it's quarterly, that's the minimum. They have to be canceled, we have to eliminate them. Because, as standing committees, because we'll be starting to violate the Brown Act. And we have to redeclare them as ad hocs. So, just so you know. So, because the city attorney, it's really weird how, and Jeff, you can comment on this, maybe this isn't new, I'm just noticing how much they want to tell us what to do and how to do it and not let us independently run our things. Okay. Anyway.
Nothing new.
it's life.
Yeah, but Jeff, is this new or is this the way it's always been?
Nothing new.
Life in the fast lane.
Okay. Board member trainings and attendance review. So Greg, you had asked for this to be on the agenda, and then I said, no, and then I realized it's always on the agenda. It's on every executive committee agenda. So we definitely have some people who have at least one person who's like missing in action totally, and aside, that would be Najee. Are you able to reach out to him? Because I've heard no responses. And then Jorge has a good intention, but I have a feeling he's really having trouble. Jeff, do you have any updates on that?
I can ask him again what's up and then encourage him to resign.
Resign or attend? Either.
Well, the first conversation that I had with him was to offer him that option, but he was dealing with a lot of family, personal, medical
And
issues.
then he came, but then he arrived and he attended a meeting.
And then it stopped again, yes. He
Right.
just needs to know it's okay and a bad mark and move on so that somebody will take his position that's willing to make a change for the neighborhood council.
Right. Right. Okay. So you're gonna relieve a sigh of that duty and you'll make that call?
Well, actually,
Yes,
Safi wants to be
he'll owe me
relieved.
big time.
Actually, Safi wants to be relieved. He may not want to be relieved of his duty. He might want to do that.
No, I know, but Jeff, okay.
Jeff has a
and
relationship.
Jeff and Asai can work that out between themselves. It's just that Jeff in his work,
Ah,
faces with,
they path cross.
yes,
all the time.
they work, their paths cross fairly
Yeah.
routinely.
And he asked me whether or not he should run in the first place, and I encouraged him, and
Yeah.
this is the best thing to do. This is a tough thing as president and vice president, but reaching out to those members who realized it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. And it's much easier to send an email saying, I resign, da-da-da-da-da. You don't have to say why, just so that the board can move forward and fill the seat, whether it's appointed or through election.
All right, got it.
Okay. So as of October,
Wait a minute. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Are we still talking about attendance, or should we move
Yes.
to the word training?
Yes. So with the attendance issue, we need to look at we need to formally look at the records, because we're being very nice about it. But if we have gone far beyond what our bylaws state, then we need to take official action on some of these cases. But I just want to make sure that we are indeed being extremely nice and reaching out to them. But I don't want.
There's only 2.5 cases at this point. Well,
Okay.
two full cases and 2 half cases, if I'm saying that right. So the 2 full cases are Najee, who's really disappeared completely, I mean non-responsive, and Jorge or George Sanchez, who there's a story there, if I'm saying that right. There's a story there, and he's changed emails, and he did attend one meeting, not the last one, but the one before. So that's 2 who are really bad. Not bad people, just bad.
I understand.
And then the other 2, which are half cases, would be Chris Carlson, who's half in, half out,
right,
and Michael Kimbrew, who came back and then didn't come to the last board meeting, but has been participating in planning and zoning committee again, and came to a board meeting before that. So he had disappeared, but then he's back.
Okay, so my question is.
No, I was going to say, I feel like with COVID, it took a few people a little longer to get comfortable with Zoom. And I don't want to ding them for the first 4 months of COVID when we just started up. But going forward, I think if a person can't do the Zoom in any way, I don't see how they participate on the board. We're going to be doing this till the end of at least another year. And I feel the same thing, that we have to, I don't know how we get that word out to candidates, because it feels discriminatory to say, hey, if you can't do Zoom, you can't be on the board. But if you can't do Zoom, you can't be on our board, because that's the only way we're meeting. So Asai?
I guess I'm in 100% agreement with you. A lot of people should by now at least have some knowledge on how to even access the Zoom meeting nowadays, mainly because of the fact that mostly everyone needs to hold a virtual conference, whether it be Zoom or another type of meeting. They always have to click a link, and that requires some sort of mental work to try to basically get there. If by this point they don't, I don't think it's discriminatory whatsoever. I just honestly think it's a lack of actual attempt to try to join the meeting, or just not caring for it. And at the end of the day, that position is about representing a group of constituents that you are now elected to represent. And so if you don't go out of your way to join those meetings or really try and let people know that you can't and you need help, that's honestly on that representative for not doing their due diligence to figure out every possible way to join the meeting. And I guess I'll leave it at that.
So,
yes, Craig.
Okay, so with our loving hearts and extended outreach, those things need to be documented and put in place. And then I think at least by next month, next executive board, we need to have, I would suggest, or a formal statement of whether these people we received a letter of resignation, or we coach them through coming back, or we take the steps according to our bylaws to remove them so that we can go on with the business at hand. And I know saying we're going to remove someone is doesn't sound nice at all, but it comes a point where we need to actually do that and follow what we said. So I would hope that we will be able to have that formal conversation next month, that this is the data, this is what was extended to them.
Right.
this is the letter of resignation, or these are the steps we're going to take to remove them.
I wonder, this is so mean of me. I wonder if Asai, who's the vice president's in charge of attendance, is that right? Is that how we do it? I wonder if Asai, you should send an email, to empower, to UNC and Empower LA. So it's all of board members just saying that we are compiling an attendance record from, we understand that these have been difficult times, but now that we realize that we're 6 months into COVID and another year to go, we have to compile the attendance records. We have it, and we need to remind everybody that it's really imperative that you either find yourself able to attend with regularity the first Thursday of every month on Zoom, no matter where you are. I mean, I want to tell you, Isaac called until his signal dropped. He attended the last board meeting as he was driving over the mountain range from wherever work meeting he had coming home. He just had his phone in his car, facing him, and he was attending the meeting until the signal completely dropped. But he made the attempt. It's doable. So maybe an email from the vice president saying, hi, everybody, one of my sad tasks, what I don't like so much, is to kind of keep track of attendance. And we have tracked it, but we've been really sympathetic to the situation because everybody has, we're in a pandemic, but we need to emphasize that your attendance, and we will be instituting by November, our bylaw protocols or something like that. Say it nice and not nice. I mean, you can run the email past we fellow executive committee members before it's sent out. So
yeah, I'd be more than happy to draft one up, probably send it to all of you all tomorrow, and then just work from there. If everyone
and not make it personal to anybody. Because there's some other people who are like good but not good. And by that I mean, I'm not gonna, what's this? Gavin Abercrombie is like, he's every other meeting now. He's not every meeting. But everyone's gone through these phases. I mean, John Arnold had missed a whole bunch of meetings a year and a half ago and almost was pushed off the board. And I'm so glad he wasn't, because he's been very, very important at this time, in participating, and he's much more active now because he can be. Speaking of, he will not be at the October board meeting. However, he has surgery that morning. So he's excused absence. Okay, so the other half of this is the word training, attendance and training. So Don is instituting, as of sometime in October, the planning and zoning land use training, but it's odd how they defined it. And this was a city council motion, I think. Anyone who is appointed member of a neighborhood council land use committee must be trained within 60 days of them starting the training. So of course, that would only be John and me, and we probably could have written the damn training, but we'll take it. But I'm wondering if you guys think we should require our board members to take it as an internal policy. Because they're all voting on land use. I mean, at the end of the day, I haven't seen the training. It could really suck.
I don't want to take any more training.
Yeah, I know, but for UNC, this is just a silliness, because the way the ordinance or whatever it was worded, the only two people who will have to take this training are John Arnold and Laura Myers, who train people, and nobody else who's voting on land use, be it at my committee or at the board, is even required to take it. Now, I haven't seen it yet. I mean, granted, I haven't seen it.
Yes.
It could be stupid. It could be, but my broad question is, but I guess your answer is you don't want any more training.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
I have to take two. I guess it's time for me to renew my training in two areas.
Ethics, yeah.
Yeah, And I don't want to do that. I mean, I'm gonna do it, but that's my, I'll do it, but I don't. But that's my personal.
I know. No, it's a time way. Well, again, I haven't seen the training. I asked Raquel Beltran direct.
Right.
What's in it? Who wrote it? Are they going to check in with any of the, are you going to vet it past anybody in neighborhood councils or this plan check NC committee before you implement it? I mean, what's even in it? And her answer was, oh, I don't know. The planning department's doing it. It's like, what do you mean you don't know? You're the, manager of Dunn, and you're the one saying words out loud. This was last Saturday, that everyone's going to have to take it, but it doesn't seem to apply to everyone. Hugo has his hand raised. Hugo?
I think I'm not sure how I can vote for it because I don't know what the training will entail, but as someone that's studying all this stuff basically every day and I have exams on it, I feel some things are relevant, some things are not, and I'm more than happy to do the training, and maybe you guys can do it as well, and then from there we can decide what it is that we find to be relevant. And you, Laura, you have more experience with planning and land use than I do, and so there are things that have popped up in the neighborhood council meetings that maybe people were learning about for the first time, and then maybe to me or to us it may not seem like it's relevant to be in training, but maybe to you notice that it appears more often than we think. So I guess I'd like for us to do the training first, at least us exec board members, and then see if it's, try and take out what we feel people should be spending their time on learning instead of learning about things that may not be even relevant or not used often.
Oh, look, Asai's dressing up for us. Look at that.
Look, I don't want to look at him dress up.
No, he is dressed up. Look, cool dude. He got all dressed up just in this moment, wearing his Nike.
I'm gonna go to Starbucks after this.
Yeah. Well, it does occur to me that maybe, since I haven't seen it, maybe I'll just call somebody at planning and see if they'll share the PDF or PowerPoint with me, because maybe that's one of the things we can throw into our workbook, Greg, that you and I are working on, the training book, instead of saying everybody take the training. But in addition or separate and apart from that, I think everybody got an email from the planning department announcing they're all not neighborhood council trainings per se, just planning 101 trainings for October and in November. And they're more general. I don't think this is the required mandatory training, but I'm going to share that with the whole board and say, why don't you guys, it's not on any standing committee meeting night, so it would be convenient for everybody if they're not busy. I think it's the second Thursday of October and the second Thursday of November. How to process cases. I mean, in other words, it's a different, or else it's the same. I don't even know. It's like they're being very vague, and yet it launches in 2 weeks. So I don't know. Okay.
Take a breath. Take a breath.
So we good with that?
Okay. Hugo, your hand is up again.
I'm sorry, I keep doing that.
All right.
Leave that button alone.
Greg, do we have a treasurer's report?
Yeah, just, can I share a screen, please?
Sure. Except for, did you post this in advance?
No.
Oops. But go ahead, because there's only a few of us
It's the
here.
MERS. It's the MERS from August.
Oh, I need to make you, hang on, you can't do it yet.
I can't.
Can't.
Host disabled participant screen share.
Here you go. Hang
Okay.
on.
Again.
Now you can share a screen, yes.
Okay, let's see. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Okay, so in this, can everyone see this?
Yes.
in the spirit of being such big spenders from our annual budget, we have spent, let me bring it up higher in the screen, we have spent a grand total of $11.52 so far this year.
Well, no, it's not totally up to date.
I
Not
know,
totally up to date.
That's not the point. That's not the point right now.
Uh-huh.
That's what's on the report. So
Mm-hmm.
as you can see that, yeah, let me move where I'm at. Yeah, we have money to spend, people. So, so anyway, that's my budget report. That's what we will show in the meeting. There's, again, as Laura said, there's some other spending that has been taking place. I will mention that, but that will not be part of our official report when we go to the governing board.
Well, it's so funny.
Questions?
How did I get the 1152 and not the 1043?
Because that was from last month.
Oh, I see.
That
Okay.
was from last month.
And
that was from
then the phone bill somehow I still didn't.
That's not
yeah.
posted yet.
I know it's
And then
weird.
then I know Janie wanted some stuff too, so then I'm still waiting for that to show up also.
Right.
So that's the report. That's what we're move this
Okay.
forward for the people to approve it. So I'm gonna stop sharing. So that's it. Nothing new from the budget, people.
All right.
All right, hold on. Let me move you back up to the top, then I will stop sharing screen. Okay, that's it.
And we have to table this secretary's minutes because we don't have them. And any committee updates, if any.
Okay, can I share what from earlier, what I think we should share in the template example of what the committee should share?
Sure.
Okay, so they do a template example. When they give their report, they will share their mission, they will share their goals, they will share their meeting schedule, their membership, their officers, their calendar, and the proposed budget, right? It's anything else you think I should put on that?
Well, they don't have members. Anyone present at any committee meeting on the night or day of that committee is a member for the duration
Okay,
of
so
that
no
meeting.
members. Okay. All righty. Any thoughts, anything else I should add to that?
I saw your hand is raised.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering maybe like tomorrow or sometime soon if we could discuss possibly an ad hoc committee, but later, like probably tomorrow offline.
Okay. Yeah, so, well, no, but I can tell you the difference. An ad hoc committee is, every member is appointed and it can have a maximum of 6 board members max. And otherwise, so in other words, a maximum of 1/2 of quorum. A standing committee, we only appoint the chairs and co-chairs, and then in our bylaws and standing rules, anybody who's attending the committee at that meeting is a member. And under the Brown Act, see if I'm saying that right, standing committees are legislative bodies under the Brown Act. So they are subject to the Brown Act. That's this whole 72-hour agenda posting. And because they are themselves legislative bodies, there is no limitation on the number of board members. We're not violating other rules on quorum, but they have to have a standing meeting schedule. And it can be just quarterly. It doesn't have to be monthly, but they have to make a decision and have that schedule to reach that goal. Otherwise, once we hit 6 board members at one of those committee meetings, board member number 7 has to be asked to leave. And I don't really want to do that. So, you know, I mean, obviously planning and zoning already is fine, but, you know, and it's entirely possible that some of these other committees would never have 6 board members at them. But since we have as another policy that are at-large member, you know, board members, so 11 people, must participate in at least one committee. Not that we're enforcing that very well, but since we have that as a rule, we don't want to have limitations on the number of board members at a committee. So, so it's a little complicated. You may have noticed if you look carefully now at the committee meeting agendas, the template has changed and we've added a whole paragraph about this whole thing with the Brown Act. So that's on the committee agendas, not executive committee and not governing board, but all the other committees. Okay. And anyway, so any other committee reports? I don't have one. There's anybody else here from a committee? No. Oh, yes, Hugo. Have you and Chris set up your meeting schedule yet?
Yeah, I was able to contact her on the exact day that she went on vacation somewhere.
You went to Mammoth, and I don't know if she's burned out or not.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she told me she was gonna come back this Sunday, but we haven't spoken yet. But we called on the day she got there, and we were planning on speaking Sunday, but we didn't just yet.
All right.
Yeah.
You're moving forward anyway.
Yeah.
Good.
What committee was that?
Economic development.
Oh, and on that topic, I saw Hunter Hall on the news about 2 days ago. He's the one that was planning on doing economic development, and he's the president of the BID in Santa Monica, and that's why he was on the news talking about businesses and being affected by COVID. Just wanted to mention it to you.
Well, I have his contact info. Do you want me to share that with you guys? Because he lives in Harvard Heights. I mean, if you can get him involved, it'd be great.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
So the economic development meeting team committee, you met or you just had a phone conversation? You scheduled a meeting or?
Yeah, it was just me and Chris just basically saying hello to each other, and just kind of like saying, let's plan a day to talk about it more in depth, because she wasn't able to talk much when I called her. So yeah, so we still have to just plan that initial call to discuss it, and then after that we'll talk about when we actually have the meeting.
Okay, gotcha. All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay. And, last but not least, there is no last but not least. We are starting to see where we have committees vying to meet at the same time. So I'm just going to have to work that out with ASI and with the committees, because that's fine. Okay. Oh,
Excuse me.
Yes.
Before you end the meeting, this is Joyce. I've sat in on a couple meetings, and I actually wanted to ask Jeff if he received the private note that I sent to him.
Okay. If Jeff is still here, he is. Jeff, do you want to answer that?
Joyce, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
If you give me, when you get a chance, if you could give me a call, then I can give you further detail on the reason I'm requesting a conversation with you.
Hey, and Joyce, can I get your phone number?
Did you get it in private? I sent it in the private chat to you.
Okay, I don't always save the chat meeting, so that might be why. Let me get your number and I'll write it down.
Why don't we do, Jeff, why don't you post to everyone your office number so that she can have it? Because I think she may not be wishing to yell out her phone number publicly.
Well, I don't have a problem. I doubt anybody is going to take it and use it. And if
No,
they do,
that's fine. I'm putting it in right now, Joyce. My email address.
Yep, we've all gone quiet.
No, I'm sorry. My office phone is going. I sent her a private text letting her know I've got one more office call I've got to deal with tonight. Joyce, my contact information is Jeff jeff.camp, Jeff, .camp @lacity.org. And my city phone number, which I'm available from 9 to 5, actually 9 to 6 most days, is 323-733-7081.
And I believe I have that number. I apologize for taking time, but I want to get going. I believe I have that number from the first meeting that I met you, and I left a couple messages and did not get a response. So that's why I thought I would sit in. And you said your office number is 733-7081?
Yeah, it's not an office number. It's a city cell phone, and maybe the issue was when they were first rolling them out, we did have some issues, so I may have lost it there. But what I would recommend doing is try calling that number. If I don't answer, leave a message, but also follow up with an email as well.
Okay, so.
And I will absolutely coordinate with you, and we'll figure it out.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, within the last couple days, I left 2 messages at your 733 number. So I will follow up my contact information at your email.
You got it, Joyce, and thank you so much.
Okay, and thank you. And I appreciate you allowing the group allowing the interruption.
Oh, no, it's not an interruption, it's a participation, which
Okay.
we like.
All right.
We have company. We have company.
Yeah,
No,
hopefully I can get more
you know,
involved.
Thank you.
I mean, I have to say, the thing with the Zoom, it is really, and I've said this to a lot of people, it's really high tech, but it also feels very high touch. People, are coming together and talking, even though I was a little snippy tonight. Okay, anyway, are we able to adjourn? Wouldn't that be cool? Can we adjourn? Are we ready,
2 thumbs
guys?
up. 2 thumbs up on the journey.
Okay. Well, then let's just do it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Adjourned at 8:52. Thank you,
Okay.
guys. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you, everybody.
All right. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Have a
Take
great
care.
week.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I
Bye.
left those flash drives aside. So nobody's left. Nobody's gone yet, folks.
I'm still
All right, I
typing.
gotta go. See you guys.
Bye. Bye.
Okay.
All right, take care,
Bye.
everyone.
So I'm ending the meeting. Sorry, but I
Okay.
just have to be
Bye-bye.
rude and end it. Okay.
Okay.